Welcome to Monday. It is another edition of Litter Media Live with Mike Smith, the icon. I'm Dan Ramey, the extra guy.
The extra guy.
Yes.
The guy behind the controls.
I'm the sidekick. I'm the Batman to your Robin.
The man behind the curtain. Yeah.
Good to have you with us here as we jump into the month of April. Welcome to April. One of the really cool April Fool's jokes I saw over the weekend, we were just watching a moment ago, and if you've not seen it, go to the Chillicothe-Ross County Public Library. They were signing out little goats that you could take with you. Little Nubian goats, they said. Yeah. And really well done, and thumbs up to the folks at the library.
The return was the funny part, yeah.
Yeah. Could just slide your goat through the slot, and they cut to another thing. Yeah, it is pretty cool. So we don't have it prepared to show to you, so you just got to go see it, and you'll enjoy it. All right, coming up in just a moment, we'll get you caught up to date with the news, what's happening across the Scioto Valley. We've got a lot of sports for you today. This is where the seasons all collide. The start of baseball, basketball is wrapping up, and playoffs are almost here for hockey and NBA. It seems like that never ends. So they'll play until July, I think, and then start up again in October.
Be ready to go.
Or thereabouts. So, all right, so we got a lot of things to share with you this date in history also coming up in just a moment. But first, what's the weather doing for us today, Mike Smith?
Nice. Right now, mostly cloudy skies, a little bit of sun peeking out. We had an unexpected shower this morning. In fact, we even had some thunder out our way.
Did you?
We're looking for a high today around 70. Now, rain is a good possibility over a couple of days this week. Tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures climb to about 78 for a high, as you can see that on Tuesday. But again, a chance of rain on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's just not going to be setting in for the day. So if you need to do some lawn work, keep an eye on this radar right here that you can adjust and see what's happening out there so you'll know how to plan.
You mentioned that you had a little bit of rain this morning. I saw a rainbow this morning.
Hey.
Look at that. This is our picture of the day. I was out doing some commercial work with the Litter Media drone, and I couldn't see this on the drone, but I could see it showing up on my phone. So I thought, I'm going to take a picture of this with my phone. So,
is there some reason the rainbow seems to drop right on that particular business? Maybe there's a pot of gold in that building.
Very well could be. I'm sure they're digging for where that pot of gold might be even as we speak. All right, coming up, a look at what's going on across the Scioto Valley in the way of news and information. But Pickaway-Ross Career and Technology Center, which happens to be one of our news stories today. They have skilled trades, health technologies, and public safety in their adult education. When I talk public safety, how about anatomy and physiology, advanced emergency medical technicians, EMT basic, the basic peace officer academy that they have, all sorts of things emergency. You want to learn more? Click on this ad anywhere you see it at littermedia.com, and it'll take you right to the Pickaway-Ross CTC website to learn more about their adult education services.
At Rathkamp Financial, we believe in building client relationships for the long term, guiding you through the stages of wealth with a plan and bringing you closer to reaching your financial dreams. We believe in long-term relationships and working to earn your continued trust with our customized investment solutions.
I'm Dave Pinkerton with Advanced Services Heating and Cooling, your local heating and cooling expert. If you want quality service, quality installation, give Advanced Services a call, 740-773-4499.
Now let's take a look at the stories that are making news across the Scioto Valley today, and we start with, as we mentioned, Pickaway-Ross CTC.
Yeah, a community service project to create a healing garden for veterans continues to grow thanks to students in Pickaway-Ross's Skills USA chapter. Started back in 2017 by English teacher and chapter advisor Tia McCullough, the Veterans Healing Garden at the Chillicothe VA features trees, walking paths, and raised flower beds. chapter's addition to the garden for the 2022-23 school year is a children's garden with a drum set and 3 pieces designed and created by Skills USA members in the welding program. One of our readers on the website, littermedia.com, commented on Facebook, well, I didn't even know that was out there. So hopefully we educated some folks on something that's there that maybe they weren't aware of. Pike County Sheriff's Office expresses condolences and sympathy for the Specials Reserves Deputy Dave Fawson and family regarding the loss of their canine, Finn. Finn was a wonderful and obedient search and rescue canine, always ready for an opportunity to seek out and find missing persons. His master trainer referred to him as a beast of a search dog who would lock in on a scent and was excited to find his target and a simple reward of a hot dog. He was only 4 years old, so our condolences as well. Some Ohioans could be without adequate insurance protection for the state's spring and summer flooding season. Ohio Department of Insurance is reminding Ohioans that flood insurance is not included in most homeowners, renters, and business insurance policies. Flood insurance must be purchased separately, typically through an insurance agent, and a 30-day waiting period usually applies before coverage begins. Unfortunately, and I know from talking to some folks, many people realize that they're not covered after the flooding, and that's not when you want to learn that, I should have had flood insurance. Our daily road report, Holder Road over in Fairfield County, is scheduled to close beginning today at the intersection of State Route 37 for a culvert replacement. State Route 37 will remain open to traffic, and that estimated completion is this Friday. So this is just a short-term project out there on Holder Road near State Route 37. And those are some of your headlines.
We forgot to discuss where you wanted to put the things.
Yeah, we've been promoting this ahead of time about their Easter egg hunt out at Pioneer Center. Well, that was over the weekend, and we wanted to include Andrew Baker's post because he gave Litter Media, among others, a shout-out for helping to promote what turned out to be a very successful event.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
Good guy.
How well do you know Andrew Baker?
Well, I used to meet with him regularly, so he's a pretty good fella.
That's good.
He's one of those guys that's got a tremendous sense of humor. You better have a sharp wit because he's going to come at you. But it's all in fun.
Speaking of sharp wit, ran into the father of Vanessa George.
Yes.
Over the weekend, and he and his wife were coming back from just had a new grandbaby they were seeing, and I saw they had the visitation stickers on their shirts, and I said, "Oh, you've been to the hospital?" And he looks at me, points at my hat, and says, I see you still are wishful thinking. I had a Cleveland Browns hat on. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, he'll be. He shows up every once in a while in the alumni band out at Huntington. Sporting events. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, coming up, a look at sports in just a few short moments and this date in history. Let's see.
A ton of sports, by the way. A ton of sports today.
In fact, there's so much. I'm going through the long litany of things to get to what I wanted to talk about next, which is Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, your trusted comfort advisor. For more than 4 decades, they have been taking care of those types of things so that it'll be comfortable in your home. If you have an issue with one of those heating, cooling, or plumbing circumstances, give them a call. If you click on this ad anywhere at littermedia.com, it will take you right to their website to learn more about our friends at Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Sports, next.
Budweiser beer, the king is second to none.
Who drinks Budweiser? You know the type. The people who grind. Those who don't back down. And the ones who don't quit. They say all people are 6 degrees of separation away from each other. But some are just a 6-pack away. The people who share the same spirit share the same beer. This Bud's for you.
For transportation options in Ross County, call Ross County Health District's Mobility Management Team, 740-779-9652.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
It is sports time.
Yeah, not only was it a big weekend in national sports, but a lot of local big stories as well. Earlier in the week, we were talking about a new volleyball coach at Southeastern. Well, also now there's a new volleyball coach at Waverly High School, and it's former Huntington High School standout Ricky McGill. This will be Ricky's first head coaching job, but she was an assistant for her mother, Tina McGill, out at Huntington for 2 or 3 seasons. By the way, Ricky is filling the vacancy left with the resignation of Aaliyah Rhodes, who's, I think, spending more time with a new family member coming very soon. Hey, we told you about this young man a few months back. Well, over the weekend, 9-year-old Maxwell Latavo from Chillicothe tied for 4th place in the drive, chip, and putt national finals yesterday at Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia. Maxwell, playing in the boys' 7 to 9-year-old division, finished with 17 points. That's just 5 points behind the eventual winner, Knox Mason from Portland, Tennessee. So, Maxwell, well done. Lancaster boys and girls win large school team titles at the Rocky Brands Track Invitational over the weekend. Chillicothe girls were the runner-up. The small division champs were Nelsonville York boys and the Liberty Union girls out of Fairfield County. You know, this one slipped up on me, Dan. I didn't even know that they were this good. But Ashland University in Northern Ohio wins the NCAA Division II Women's Basketball Championship over the weekend. In fact, it was the 3rd time in school history as they beat number 2 ranked Minnesota Duluth 78-67 Saturday for the national championship. Some of the best cafeteria food I've ever eaten was at Ashland University. NCAA Women's National Champ yesterday, of course, LSU. They win in a blowout over Iowa. A lot of people were carping all over social media about the refereeing in this ball game, but LSU. This is Coach Kim Mulkey's 4th national title. She won 3 others while at Baylor. Now, the men's national championship will be played tonight.
Who are these teams?
Yeah, well, UConn's been around. They've won some national titles, but they'll be taking on the if you want to call them Cinderella, San Diego State. I think they're playing in their first ever national championship game. And that is a late start, you said.
9:20, and I don't know if that's to benefit San Diego State fans, but I just don't remember it starting that late. And maybe it has. I just haven't paid that. I don't pay much attention when Ohio State's not playing.
Yeah, of course, it's in Houston, so that's Central Time, I think. Mm-hmm. So it would be like 8:20, there. Hey! Ho-ho! Oh, my! First place! Get your World Series tickets right now, folks. Cincinnati takes 2 out of 3 against the Pirates over the weekend, winning yesterday by a score of 3-1.
Have you heard the story behind the Viking helmet and all?
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Everybody that hits a home run, they get the Viking helmet and a cape put on them as they come back into the dugout.
And Newman hit one yesterday, and that was his first at-bat for the Reds.
Yeah.
Against his former team, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah. I can't remember, they said how many first at-bat new Red players had hit a home run in the last 6 years, and I kept thinking, yeah, that's because everybody's new every year. So I'm not sure that's as big a – hey, the Guardians of Cleveland, they also they won their weekend series after losing the opener at Seattle. They win the rubber game yesterday by a score of 6-5. Did you catch the little ditty, Fraser Crane, that we live in? Because his TV show, he was in Seattle.
And today, the Cubs come to Cincinnati to take on the Reds. And Cleveland, still on the West Coast, they head to Oakland to take on the Athletics.
Is that a night game out in California?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're a Guardians fan, you'll be up late.
I actually watched some Guardians play on Friday night because there was no Reds game. Mm-hmm. And I just, there wasn't anything else on TV, and I thought, well, I'll watch the Guardians. And since they were playing Seattle, I got to see Eugenio Suarez playing at third base.
Former Cincinnati Red. Mm-hmm. The Boston Bruins made NHL history yesterday, becoming only the fourth team in league history, which goes back over 100 years, to win 60 regular season games. They did it with a 4-3 overtime win over the St. Louis Blues. And our hometown team, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they get a rare win, winning yesterday by a score of 4-3, also in overtime. I think there's only four or five more games in the regular season for all of the NHL, and then they'll start that marathon playoff. But the Jackets won't be in. The Boston Bruins will be. Cleveland Cavaliers pick up a win last night. We told you last week they're already in the postseason, but they're just trying to beef up that overall record for a higher seed. But Cleveland winner over the Pacers by 10.
Hashtag let them know we just did.
We just did. And there you have sports.
Sports. All right. Talked with Carl Gearhart the other day from Scioto Valley Dumpsters. We had an interesting conversation. And they are getting into a busy time of year. So that means they got a lot of stuff going on. And that includes cleanup. That includes hauling gravel. It includes doing all sorts of things. If you want to find out what they do, give this number a call, 740-253-8389 for Scioto Valley Dumpsters. They can get you taken care of, whether it be a dumpster or whatever else they might be able to do for you. Find out more at 740-253-8389. Tell them Dan and Mike sent you.
The estimated hold time is now less than 96 minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Sorry, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, please hold.
Archway of Opportunities is a scholarship program. It can include the crew members and it can include managers. The scholarship is $2,500 for crew members and it's $3,000 for managers. For my store alone, we've had $35,000 go out just in 1 year. And for all 7 of our stores, we had $66,000 in scholarship funds.
This is Big Chillicothe. Horizon's 100% fiber internet service is coming to your area. Call 740-772-8331 or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
It is that time of the show where we take a look back in the Litter Media Wayback Machine.
Going back to 1865.
All right.
I had two choices today. The Xenia tornado, 49 years ago today, but we did that last year. So maybe next year, if I'm still around, 50 years, we'll talk about it again.
Going someplace?
Yeah. Well, who knows? The Lord may say,
That's
come
true.
on home, son. 1865, the rebel capital of Richmond, Virginia, falls to the Union Army. The most significant sign that the Confederacy is in its final days. For 10 months, General Ulysses S. Grant had tried unsuccessfully to infiltrate the city. After Lee made a desperate attack against Fort Stedman along the Union line on March 25th, Grant prepared for a major offensive. He struck at Five Forks on April 1st, crushing the end of Lee's line southwest of Petersburg. April 2nd, the Yankees struck all along the Petersburg line, and the Confederates collapsed on this date in 1865, and within 6 days, the war ends at Appomattox. Mm-hmm. A fascinating story that our Pastor John brought up, I think, a week ago. He was talking about a gentleman by the name of McLean.
John McLean?
I don't remember what his first name was. But
He's from those Die Hard movies.
No, this would not have been him then. Oh. The Civil War, the first battle, aside from Fort Sumter, which was not really, a field battle, it was a fort on the water, starts in his backyard. He moves away from there to Virginia, and his house at Appomattox is where they sign the surrender. So the Civil War starts and ends
same place
in his backyard, literally. So I think that I heard Paul Harvey talking years ago, about an individual who was at Hiroshima when the atomic bomb was dropped. They survived. They left immediately and moved to another city, Nagasaki. And he was there for the second bomb being dropped. The only known survivor to live through 2 atomic blasts.
Wow.
Now, tell me somebody is not looking after that guy.
It's like being stricken by lightning 18 times, and surviving each one of those.
Who says lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place? Yeah. But there you have it. Tomorrow, of course, Tuesday is when we've been doing our Revolutionary War Bicentennial Minute, so that's what tomorrow's feature will be.
Have a radio feature other than Paul Harvey talking about that story?
Well, you worked at the Waverly radio station. Mm-hmm. Was Paul on there when you...
He was.
I think we had him on the station down there when I was there in 1979.
Always ABC News way back then. And
I was thinking about Paul Harvey this morning because I usually have the TV on when I'm getting ready for work, and I get frustrated. I don't care whether it's the right or the left. I get frustrated with so much commentary in what is supposed to be news. But if you remember, Paul Harvey, he came out front and said, this is news and commentary. So you knew what you were getting. They didn't try to sandwich or sneak commentary into the news like they do today.
Well, I think a lot of that has come just from the fact that they've been, the cable news has had to fill time.
Exactly.
And back when the bombing and everything first started back in 1990, was it? Over in Iraq, that's where they found a niche for CNN to be on all the time. A real reason for you to be here 24 hours a day. And then it just became, we got to fill time. So we can't keep talking about breaking news, and we do anyway, but we're still going to talk around it and all the other stuff behind it.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten out of hand, really, over the years. And we've gotten so used to it, and we just want to see more of it.
Yeah. Never got to talk with Paul Harvey, but I was on Paul Harvey News one time. Many of you might remember back in 1980, I think it was 82, WBEX did a live wall-to-wall broadcast of a murder trial here in Chillicothe. It was the first time that anybody could find that a radio station in the United States broadcast a murder trial. We didn't have commentary because what we had to do, there was no jury for this trial. That's why the 3-judge panel agreed to allow us to do this. We set the Marty, the little transmitter, up in what was the jury box. Well, you can't talk inside the courtroom while the trial is going on. So what you were hearing was the dialogue between the attorneys, the witness, and the judge. And Paul Harvey reported, first time this has ever happened, WBEX in Chillicothe, Ohio, Mike Smith, the news director, blah, blah, blah. So I can say that I was on Paul Harvey's news one day.
On his lips.
Yes, on his lips.
Paul Harvey was talking about a story that happened in Waverly when I was working there. And this was, I want to say there was a drugstore. I can't remember where it was. It was on Emmett Avenue there in Waverly, and Route 23. But there was an armed robbery, and they had super glued the hands of the people there to the floor.
Oh, wow.
So they couldn't get away. And if I remember correctly, there was a gunshot that went across 23 and into one of the buildings across from it.
Wow.
I want to see, it might have been Basie Office Supply, something like that. And I remember my shift started at noon. I just walked in, started Paul Harvey at 12:15, because I think it went 12:15 to 12:30, and boom. There it was.
Wow.
Talking about Waverly, Ohio. And I'm like, well, I was just over there just a little while ago.
You didn't get, you checked your hands for super glue. You didn't have any on you.
I wasn't sticking around anywhere. But I thought that was one of the more unique things that a robber did during a stick-up was to stick you to the ground.
Yeah.
And crazy.
I mean, there's Paul used to do, I don't know if he called it Stupid Criminals or something. That might have been somebody else, a broadcaster. Stupid things that criminals do sometimes.
Yeah.
Like these guys that break into a house and they make themselves a sandwich. And then they get caught because they're sitting there eating the sandwich instead of leaving. So, yeah, it takes all different kinds of folks out there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Grandma and Grandpa Ross, they lived in a trailer right across the road from the Ramey Ranch when I was growing up. And they were not my grandmother and grandfather, but I called them Grandma and Grandpa. And so they babysat me a lot. So I spent my early impressionate years with Grandma and Grandpa Ross. Sweet, sweet individuals. And I remember always hearing Paul Harvey on their radio. And I want to say they had a TV, but we just never watched the TV. It was always the radio we were listening to. We would play cards, and Grandma Ross would bring out the cutting board, and she would tell me, I could get that cutting board. So I'd set it down, and then we would end up playing rummy or whatever. And that's where I learned how to play cards, was through the auspices of one Edna Ross.
Yeah.
Grandma Ross.
I know Grandpa Carter was a big Paul Harvey fan, and my wife says her dad, Marion, he was a farmer, and he would come in at noon for lunch, and it was like nobody said a word while Paul Harvey was on for those 15 minutes.
You know, another thing I remember from my childhood was going to Ron Falsnaw's house. Ron and Perry Falsnaw, they were buddies of mine, and their dad was a big farmer there in Pickaway County. Ron, of course, has followed in his dad's footsteps as well as Perry. But you had to be quiet because when they were doing the grain reports.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to take a lockdog on it because I want to hear what the market's saying right now. Mm-hmm. And we used to see that with Ed Johnson and everything back
Did you
in the
work
day.
with Ed ever at Circleville?
I was working there when he called in a couple of times to do farm reports. And back then we didn't have the satellite capability, and so they would pick up the phone and they would do it over the phone, and you just bring them up through the board. And Tim Bray, remember Tim?
Yes,
Tim
I do.
Bray?
Sure do.
He used to call in and do his sports reports on my show, which always I thought it was kind of odd that we weren't doing the news. Someone else was doing it for us. But that was, I can't remember the name of the network. It was
Ohio, Well, ABN, Agri Broadcasting Network, they were affiliated with the Ohio
Sports Network.
Well, it was. I think P.J. Ryle started that.
Yeah,
Tim Bray came on later, but there was a news branch of that too.
Which was the whole reason I think that we had that programming at WNRE, because P.J. Ryle was the program director. So that was probably why we had that going there.
And they became affiliated with the Ohio State Radio Network as the provider of the network. So there was a lot of friends that we met over the years. Ed Johnson, you were talking about the graduation ceremony where you didn't remember. Ed Johnson was the only graduation speaker that I ever heard that I remember what he said. It was not my graduation.
Yeah.
It was my cousin Jim's. And he used, like a spark plug. And that's why I remembered it, because I remember him holding that spark plug. And he talked about, things in life and, those things that are important. But he always said, God is the spark plug. And I never forgot that.
Was it an AC Delco? Was it a Champion?
He didn't tell us because we were sitting so far away we couldn't see what the spark plug was. So.
Yeah, the man you were referring to that I couldn't remember what he said was Rex Kern, who spoke at my sister's graduation. But I was 8 years old, I think.
Oh, well, that makes sense, yeah.
And so all I knew was, hey, that football player's talking to us.
Throw me the ball, Rex. Throw me the ball. Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, did you see where John Brockington passed away?
I did.
He played with Rex Kern, late 60s. He graduated in 70, but he passed away just the other day. I didn't see that until after we were off the air.
Yeah.
So
went on to play for the Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay Packers, that is correct. He was a good one. Yeah. He was a good one.
He was one of the players I had in my electric football.
Is that right?
Yeah. The teams that came with the electric football game were the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears. The Bears were wearing the white uniforms and the blue helmets, and then you had and then I got the Browns and the Colts, I believe. Mom made a special purchase so I could get those things. That's back before you go on the internet and order them. Now you can do that.
I was so poor. My players were just red and white or something. They didn't have any jersey numbers or anything like that. So.
Well, I felt special then. So. All right, that's it for the program today. Back at it again tomorrow. Do we have a special edition tomorrow?
No, I think we have the one we just recorded for Wednesday morning, the Fairfield County edition. I believe at this time, that's the only one we have scheduled.
And I do have a special edition tomorrow afternoon, and that will be with Sherry Catron from Foothold International. They've got an auction coming up in April. It's now April, isn't it?
Yes.
Coming up in a couple of weeks, Stan DeGarmo is going to be joining us also because he's going to be the auctioneer. So it should be a lot of fun tomorrow afternoon to learn more about what they are doing with Foothold International and that auction, how you can help support their mission that is taking place over in Rwanda or Uganda.
It's in Africa. There's two countries by those names.
There are.
I'm not sure which it is. So yeah,
we'll have to. I can't, Kenya is where they are. It took me a moment to.
Which was not the. I could see playing a board game with you. You give me two choices. That's not even one of them that was the name before. Yeah.
Well, I've got a friend who is in Rwanda. Uganda is somewhat close, and Kenya is where the mission takes place for Foothold International.
Thank you.
I got my geography all mixed up. So, all right, that's it for the program. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be with you tomorrow for another educational moment.
Alex Trebek, he's not.
On Litter Media Live.